Hi, I'm Yolanda and welcome to Speak On. When I was younger, there weren't really any body positive campaigns. In fact, supermodels would stride down the catwalk. There were glorious glamazons like Cindy Crawford and Naomi Campbell, and it quickly went over to heroin chic, where everybody was looking a little bit waif-like and a little bit unwell. TV and film did not represent the spectrum of body sizes that we know to exist. And instead of influencers talking directly to us in the way that they do now, everything was really heavily edited, curated, and directed. So we just didn't really see this kind of true representation. Now we have advocates across the board that better represent that spectrum of body types. But in a world where detox teas and waist trainers exist, are things really any better? Joining us today to talk about body image and body confidence are singer and actor Rachel, model, actress, mental health advocate Lucy Jackson, comedian and actor Samantha Baines, and singer Chrissy Youth. Thank you for joining me, ladies.
Thank you.
Is there a confusing amount of ideas about what is meant to be body confident? I'm going to start with you, Samantha, because you're looking directly into my eyes.
Body confident. I would say that body confident is just liking who you are and feeling good about your body, whatever shape or size or colour or, wobbly bits or not that you have. For me, that's what body confidence is.
Yep. What about you guys? Do you guys agree? Or
Yeah, I think
expansion?
it's just sort of changed the word confidence for acceptance. I think that's really what it is, isn't it? It's, you could be in great shape, you could be really overweight, but that doesn't actually change the value of you as a person. And if you have that going on and you're aware of that and you're loving yourself no matter what your weight is, no matter what colour your hair is, what colour your skin is, whatever, then that's true body confidence, I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not easier said than done, but...
This is so true. But no, I definitely pull from what you guys have said for sure. And I guess it's, regardless, as you've all said about your shape, etc., and that kind of stuff, I guess it's just having that confidence for yourself that regardless of who you are, like this is, or what you look like, this is who you are, and you can occupy that space. And I think people can look at you and kind of even get that sort of, that inspiration or that feel good from you whenever you kind of step into a space confidently. It's just it's not even about what I look like, is what I have to offer you or what I have to say or what I have to teach and stuff. So I think that all kind of falls into it. Whereas, as you said, less so much about the body and just being confident in yourself and what you've got to give to people.
Exactly. Take it or leave it. This is me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I'm going to ask this about your kind of channels now. Have you noticed any backlash to the body positive movement on any of your channels or other influencers? I'm going to start with Chrissy.
Not really. I haven't. I don't show too much of... I don't like to post too many selfies and stuff like that. Maybe that's just me, but every now and then I like to put up a little few pictures, but I genuinely get a lot of great feedback back from people. I'm not the skinniest girl you're going to see, but I like to wear nice dresses. I don't like to fit the mould or wear a certain style. I just wear what I wear. This is me, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you're quite lucky then. You haven't really got any.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
Yeah. I do more scenery. I think that's probably
you do a lot more travel and everything else.
more scenery than the odd little money shot in there. But,
So. Have you noticed it on anybody else's channels that you follow or anything? Or?
A few models, and you look at them and you think, you actually look unbelievable, but I just think they're keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
Little no ones behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be worried.
I think there is that, with the whole body positive movement and body confidence, I think there is, sometimes I do feel a bit of pressure that I should be getting more of my body out to be like, look, I love it.
I love it.
And actually, I think that's, if you want to do that, great, like if that's your thing. But I definitely, like on social media, wouldn't necessarily post of me in a bikini. And it's not because I don't like who I am, it's just because
not me.
I don't want to show that to the public, really, because that's...
And it's about that choice, isn't it? That's what's important,
But a lot
I
of
want
people
to
would say, put up more pictures of yourself. You've got pictures of the sky and this landscape. You're like, go on and put a picture. And I'm like, but I'm scared. But really, why should you worry? It's you. People know. A lot of people that are commenting are usually people that you see and people that you know, and they've seen you in every way. So you should just put it up.
It's so weird because it's like, in my experience, I think even looking at other people's, like, especially their social media, looking at what they have, I think either you have a lot of comments or you have a lot of engagement in regards to the fact that it's amazing that you're showing this, whatever else, and they take it for what it is, as opposed to it being some overly sexed up pose, what have you. Or you have those comments that are quite derogatory, or people do feel like they can say whatever they want to say because you are in a bikini, so that must mean you are like this, or you got that shot, which is so ridiculously frustrating, because it's like, if I was to see you in person or on the beach or what have you, would you really say that to my face? Would you come up to me and say, oh my gosh, like, why are you showing this much, whatever else? Not that I expose a particular, like, not that I expose a lot, and I'm quite comfortable with myself anyway, so it's like...
Yeah, I saw that photo shoot. I know you're comfortable with yourself.
So it's kind of like, I mean, like, this is who you are and what you've got, whether you shrink up or shrink down. If I want to share that, let me do so. So it's weird when you have those type of debates and battles, because it's like, well, this may not necessarily be the choice for you. That is absolutely fine, but this is what I've done. And even like stuff like using filters and stuff. I had a friend who was like, oh my gosh, Rach, are you ever gonna like do stuff without filters? I'm like, dude, A, you know me in real life, so you see me all the time. And B, you follow me on all kinds of stuff. And you have access to me. So you do see me like without like the ears or whatever else. It's not a big deal. So it's kind of like, I think, as much as everybody's for body confidence, sometimes I feel like if you don't fit their version of what body confidence is, then sometimes it causes the friction or the conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm so for people having dialogue and conversations, because that is how you learn. But don't sort of come and attack, or just basically feel like your standpoint is the only one, especially if you're not open to have dialogue. So it can be really mixed, which is really bizarre.
Yeah, it's a difficult debate, a kind of conversation to have, because you made a really good point where you think, well, I am body confident, so should I be showing it? Should I be showing more? And no one should feel pressure to show anything they don't want to show, whether it's about confidence or not. It's like, it's your body, it belongs to you. If you want to show your left boob, show your left boob. If you don't. Yeah.
No, it'd be the right one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. To be fair,
she's my fave.
Sorry, right boob. Sorry.
I always make sure though on my social media that I do share no makeup selfies, and I think that's just because, you know, being an actor and stuff, and you know, being a comedian and I do feminist rant videos, so I do get a lot of trolling, but being an actor, like, obviously I get my makeup done for me, and you get your hair done and you look nice. So even this morning, actually, because I have anxiety, and this morning I posted a picture of me with no makeup on and showing all my spots, because when I get anxious I like scratch my skin and, like, you know, you pick at yourself. So you know, my chin was particularly bad this morning, so on my social media I showed a picture and said this is what I do when I'm anxious, and then after it I showed a video of me full makeup where you couldn't see it, to show, like, you know, those are things that everyone just covers up, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And just because I'm in the public eye doesn't mean I'm perfect and everything's hunky-dory. You know, we all have our own stuff. But on the sort of troll thing, I've done I do videos for Stylist Magazine, which are feminist rants, and yay, feminists, angry feminists. But a lot of this, so I am fully clothed, not that matters, but I'm fully clothed. You only see my head and shoulders, and I've had comments like, she's fat, she's ugly, she needs to do her hair, which I enjoyed, because, you know, I am going for the Alan Rickman on the beach. Love you, Alan.
Love you.
So,
but I have loads of weird comments that are, you know, and the videos have been about like monetization of the vagina, how to deal with sexism at work, like on a comedy sort of satire vein. But so I have comments all the time that are nothing to do with the video and all to do with my appearance, which I think
which just proved the point, doesn't it? That's what's so ironic about it.
Yeah. Well. So as you said, that just all of a sudden just felt, oh, it's so sad, because you do things and people still want to comment on your body and comment on your looks, despite the fact that they also want you to be an advocate for the positivity of it. But I still want to be mean to you about it. I can imagine the confusion on those people's faces as they take to their keyboard to just write some shit. Yeah. Okay, so this kind of authenticity that influencers have cultivated in terms of like body positivity, because let's not pretend this has come from brands. This hasn't come from brands, this hasn't come from media. This has come from the fact that people can be fairly unfiltered, dog ears, or, you know, or a halo or whatever, directly to their audience, directly to the public. So brands have started like piggybacking on that now. We've seen it across the board on campaigns. I don't know how I feel about that all the time, but they obviously, because they do it to sell products, on the one hand it's great because it's the fact that they're joining in with this and making a part of the movement stronger, but on the other hand it's also because they just want you to buy soap or something like that. So how do you, as influencers, as people in the public eye, affect that positive change and keep this going, knowing that brands are still going to just be adopting your techniques and basically kind of watering down the message?
I think brands are in a difficult position because they're always trying to sell stuff. So I'd rather them try and sell stuff with a body positive message, even hopefully they believe it, than just sell stuff and be, the way they were before. I think we need to look at airbrushing and adverts and, is that a healthy thing to be doing? I know Jamila Jamil talks a lot about that. And also, when I work with a brand, I always check, their sites and see what's, that they have a whole range of models. And also there are still some clothing brands that don't go over a size 12 or 14. And well, I can't work with them because I have a 12 to 14. But, so I wouldn't necessarily work with a brand like that because I think that's just them saying, no, you can only wear our clothes if you're this size or shape.
Despite the fact that it's not the national average as well. It's under the national average.
And of course, a lot of people are very thin and that's just the way they are and they, eat loads and are very healthy. And I'm not at all, I don't want to kind of shame people for being thin. But equally, we need to look at both ends of the spectrum. And as a woman who is a slightly larger size, that's an area for me that I look at when I'm working with brands.
Okay. And what about you, Lucy? How would you make sure that you're still affecting that positive change?
I think it's just about staying honest to your own message. I've been approached by lots of the brands that have, like you mentioned, the waist training and the skinny teas, the skinny coffees. And I emailed one of them back. I said, can you send me a list of the ingredients? Because I'm blog about mental health and particularly eating disorder recovery. So I am not going to promote a laxative tea, obviously not. And they refused to send over an ingredient list. So I'm like, okay, so what are you actually giving to people? Which is really scary.
What is in it?
Yeah, and she was literally like, I can assure you that the teas are good. And I'm like,
show me the list.
Show it to me then, yeah.
Considering the main ingredient of tea is tea.
Yeah.
Just
what is in it?
Water.
Water. So yeah, I think it's just important to pick well. Don't do the crazy Kim Kardashian thing and just start promoting suppressant
lollies that are
also Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Enough time for that
He's
one.
not a brand I want to get on board with.
No.
It's a chat for
But
another show.
I think forget about the money and stay true to yourself and promote things that you actually care about yourself. And I think that's what most people's audiences engage with as well. You can be the most gorgeous looking person in the world, but if people don't believe you and find you to be authentic or an honest person, then I don't really follow people like that because I just think, you're nice to look at, but it's just vapid, So I think as long as you stay true to yourself and have a bit of substance, then that's how you
absolutely
can help kind of keep that message going so it doesn't get swallowed up and eaten by brands.
Exactly.
Or eaten or left aside, discarded, thrown back up. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't know. It depends what people are peddling now, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what those
The
tea
next
places are
craze.
peddling. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So going back to the fact that direct influencing, in this age of direct influencing, do we actually have do we as a society have a better body image than before? Discuss.
Ooh, that is so...
Saving the tricky
How
question.
can you even answer that? You can't, can you? I think we talk about it a lot more, which is awesome. We talk about a lot of things a lot more now, again, and they're all really positive. Yeah. But it doesn't actually necessarily change the issues, I don't think. I think it's human nature to... No, it's not human nature, actually. It's a total product of the environment. So that's not true. I think not feeling confident in your body is happened for such a long time. You know, even adverts in the 1920s, you know, they're still peddling this message. Brands are still trying to get you to buy their product for a reason. And day in, day out, obviously that feeds into your subconscious and affects your confidence. But talking about it and actually having a proper dialogue definitely helps people feel less isolated in those issues, but I don't know if it can actually change everything.
Yeah.
I think it's good that we're talking about it, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Sure.
And obviously we've been talking a lot about kind of sizes. Also, I have a hearing aid in one ear, so I'm classed as disabled. And I think we don't, you know, that still isn't really a subject that is broached, or we're not seeing a whole range of body positivity, as in if you're disabled.
It's
you
not
know,
even in advertising campaigns,
Yeah.
honestly.
you know, like why can't you be on a billboard promoting something? And I think that there are so many different aspects that we do need to talk about more, but obviously starting the conversation is a good thing.
Yeah,
It's baby steps.
I'd have to echo that
it's
where
going to be a process, isn't it? It's
for sure. And I love that, as you said, like having the start of the conversation is what's important, but I feel like it's so layered, because I feel like individual to individual is different. Then you might want to look at things like race. Then you might want to look at like your environment and stuff. And it's like, I love that I get to see more images that are more in line with myself. So my heritage is more, like I say, African American. That's not true. So like Black African, that's just like weird. So and like to see women who have my shape and size is great. Thicker thighs, bigger bum, like that's great. But once upon a time, that was just so not in. It wasn't attractive. I remember being like teased at school because I had a big bum.
Hideously.
Like, and it's just like, wait, now people want to inject themselves to get bigger bums. Like, so stuff like that. This is where it starts to get warped, where we have so much access and we can actually change ourselves and make ourselves into what we want to be, which is great to have that, I guess, that wealth, that choice, which is awesome. But at the same time, once upon a time, that wasn't accepted. And I like that we've had that shift, but I feel like, I think as long as you have the education and the awareness of how you are changing your bodies and making those choices, I think as long as you have that learning behind it, I think that's ace. And then also having the different types of figures around it, that is, again, brilliant. So our young get to see people like them wherever they're from, that kind of stuff. So I like that balance. But at the same time, I think when you go to the extreme where people go too far or do too much, and then that becomes the look that you're supposed to have, I think that's when it starts to get skewered. So I think the more dialogue, the better. And I think it then informs your choices as to what you not should have, because that starts to make it sound a bit more controlled, but I feel like what is on offer to you, and also just like, do you know what, actually, perfectly fine as I am. I don't even need to do anything. Like, it's great as who I am. So it's a weird one. I think it's so layered and it's nuts.
It's a nuanced conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and so I'm going to start with Christy on this one. Were there any like personal body confidence issues that you've had like throughout your career?
Oh my God, all the time. Like, I'm not a stick thin. I used to dance so much when I was younger, so I was genuinely just very frail. But as I've got older, my body's changing. I love food so much. That's the one thing I can't actually change. My love for food. I'd rather be fat. I'm a hungry bitch.
You are a hungry
bitch. I've never really, I'm always on a diet. Something's always like, I'm doing this fad, that fad, this is going on. But I think the main message is to just eat healthily, eat well, and just do you. Don't copy other people's silly little fads, these stupid little teas, these silly little waist trainers.
We are really coming.
They don't work. They do not work. They don't.
Yeah.
If they do, they're short term. They're not long term. I've learned firsthand that they're not.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to do it is if you just live a healthier and better life. Working out, feeling good about yourself. That's to me.
Yeah, and I suppose that is about your mental health, as opposed to what it does to your body.
Exactly.
It's about just being fit, feeling healthy and feeling energized.
Exactly, and being younger and looking at all of these brands, and I never used to be able to buy from them, and then they started writing to me if I got a little bit thinner. It used to make me feel better, but really, it's just, you are who you are. You can't change that. If you want to wear it, wear it if you feel confident enough, but don't feel like you have to conform to these tiny little brands that make these little belly tops and little skirts if you don't think you're going to wear them.
Yeah. And things like, and if you do want to wear them regardless of your size, then go
Exactly.
for it. Yeah, because I feel like with one thing that I've seen when I was younger, like I'm 75, but yeah, back in the day, because we didn't have this kind of spectrum where different people wearing different things. It was really, if you were going to wear a crop top and you were going to wear a skirt, it was like, oh my God, I'm referencing such an old programme, Married with Children, Christina Applegate. She used to almost be one of those kind of poster girls for that, and her whole thing was about wearing tiny dresses and wearing things that are very, very small. And then you would only ever see people of that size wearing it. Whereas now, I'm just like, I walk around and I see people in all sorts of things, regardless of their size, and they look amazing. Yeah. And I almost wish I was that confident when I was younger to not give a shit and wear it. But if it wasn't presented to me, why the hell would I? Whereas now, that's the effect, I think, of the body positive that I see, that more people wear more different things.
Yeah.
Okay, right, so next question. Are there different ways of dealing with a lack of body confidence? So I suppose it's really, what would be your advice on dealing with like lack of body confidence? Let's go to you, Sam.
Well, being an actor is a whole, world of body issues. Because, a lot of the time you're cast based on, hopefully you're a good actor, but also based on what you look like, because that's the first thing as an actor, they come up with a role like police officer and then they decide if you can look like a police officer or not. And then they get you in the room and then you do your acting and then you get the job or not. So, you're judged constantly on the way you look. And I remember when I started out, I was told that I'm not good looking enough to be a leading lady, but too good looking to be a character actress. So apparently I was difficult to place. But, I've always loved comedy, so I am a comedy character actress now. But I always found that, especially when I was younger, I was always cast as the best friend, the funny best friend. And I would say that, so I've always been like a size 12 to 14. And I would say that that's not big in the world, as we said. That's the standard size.
She's below standard size.
But on TV, I would be the slightly bigger best friend, and I think that's a really sad message to be sending out. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time it was the funner role, so it was fine for me, because I had a sense of humour in that role. But I think that is getting a little bit better now, but I've definitely been on set, and when you get the part, you're then measured and dressed by someone who obviously doesn't know your body type. And that can be a really awkward experience. I remember my first comedy job, I won't say what it was, but I had to, be dressed up as a character, and they tried loads of things on me and none of them fit because I was too big for all of them. And it was that awful experience, or like when you go to a shop sometimes and you try loads of things on, they all look awful, and you just feel really down about yourself, and that's before you even go on set and do some acting, and
you feel like you've done something wrong, but actually she should have checked beforehand and got the right size clothes. Like, it's really simple.
Who turns up anywhere with a bunch of sample sizes unless it's for...
But when it's your first job, you don't speak out about that stuff.
You probably apologise to the stylist.
Like, I'm sorry, nothing fits. And, I looked awful and I felt really uncomfortable, and luckily it was a comedy, so people could just laugh at it. But since, and now I'm a bit older, working on shows like, obviously, The Crown and Netflix and Call the Midwife, like, they're much more aware of women's bodies, and obviously they are period dramas, but those were lovely experiences where you kind of looked after. But I think that can be sad about our industry. So I felt really down at times about being too big, which is ridiculous, to be an actor. And what I would say to people is you kind of need to go back to what really matters. And actually what really matters is that I love acting, and people have given me jobs and hopefully will in the future. And as long as I can do the best job that I can do and work hard, then this is me. Like, like you said earlier, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But especially as well, since I've got my hearing aid, sorry, I'm going on like a rant now, but I got my hearing aid a year ago, and that was a whole nother thing for me, because I'd never seen myself as being classed as disabled before, which I can be. Obviously, you can decide whether to class yourself as disabled, but you know, I have a disabled person's rail card, third off, woo! But so that is now strange, and obviously in the industry I'm in with acting and comedy, and I present on the radio as well. And I remember when I first got my hearing aid, thinking, can I do all these things anymore? You know, does this mean my career is over? And actually, a lot of the time, I'm still kind of educating people when I go for jobs. Like, someone at a big radio station said to me, will your hearing aid make a noise on air? And, you know, my hearing aid doesn't whistle or anything like that. And
that'd be really annoying for you.
Yeah.
You're just whispering in your ear. I'm here helping you.
Hello, I'm your hearing aid. So that's a whole nother body confidence issue for me now that I've moved into. And I don't know, every time I go through them, I think it's just about coming back to me and being like, this is who I am, this is what I enjoy. I'm going to work hard, and hopefully people just accept me for me.
Oh, brilliant. And then what about you, Rachel? Have you got, what kind of ways have you dealt with body confidence issues in the past?
Oh, it's really annoying.
Apart from obviously your giant ass.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm a huge behind. It's weird. Oh, shit. No, it's weird. I think that I've been... How I grew up, I think I was really lucky, where I had a mum who is... absolutely nuts, by the way. My mum is absolutely mental, but she is just she knows who she is and where she's from and proud of herself, and I think she's been able to instill that into us, which is great. So I never really had issues until obviously people kind of gave you stuff to deal with, or you have a problem. And I think the one time I nearly had a complex, I said nearly because I love my nose. I did quite a few shoots, and the first thing people would do would like retouch my nose. I was just, wait a minute, that's not one of my favorite things about my face. So it's weird that you really want to touch that up. So I think that was my weird, like, for a second. And then it was actually, no, this is like who I am. It's not my heritage, it's what I look like. You can fuck off.
What were they doing to it?
Just to make it more Eurocentric. So just like, you know, just do whatever else. I was just like, yeah, but when you see me in person, then you know that's just not my face or my nose. So it's just like, then that just, there's so much distortion. It's just like an issue. Do I need to change it? Should I change it? And it's like, well, no. First, it's super expensive. It's going to be really painful. And also, like, I actually really like what I look like.
Yeah.
So that was probably the worst thing ever. But I just think...
You were lucky to have that come from that place of confidence initially.
Yeah.
So I suppose you didn't.
Because if that had happened to someone else,
exactly.
then
that
they could
might
have
have
just been
just
like, I
different.
really
Yeah.
need a nose job
I
or
need to change it,
something.
exactly. So I think it's just having that love for yourself, I think, is the biggest thing. So I'd have to echo from Sam. I find that one really hard. It's
What about
Also,
you?
you have a lovely nose.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Like, what's wrong with it? Yeah.
It's just
I
like
love that.
And what about you, Lucy? Because obviously you are a, you know, you talk about like mental health, you talk about body image a lot on your blog and just on your social channels. What about you? What have you done to deal with these issues for yourself?
Years of therapy.
Yeah.
For me, it's a little bit more of like a bigger subject, I suppose. Not to diminish anyone else's struggles, obviously. I think every person always has some form of self-esteem issues at some point in their life. But for me, from a really young age, there was just this real feeling of being inadequate, and that came about into an eating disorder, and then it just got worse and worse. I've been in hospital many times for it, all different kinds of therapy. I've tried hypnosis, and everyone always says, oh, you know, just eat healthy, look after yourself, get enough sleep and exercise. And it's when, yes, that will work for anyone that doesn't actually have a medical eating disorder with a diagnosis. But if it's an actual mental illness, then obviously it's a lot harder to treat. But I've definitely learnt some sort of tricks over the years. I know that it is imperative for me to work out regularly, just in terms of the mental clarity that it gives you. And I think everyone always feels a bit happier after working out as well.
True.
Relieves some stress,
All the
clears your
endorphins.
mind,
Yeah.
endorphins, exactly. Making sure I get enough sleep as well. And just being really honest about it, which was something that I've only started doing in the last year. Before that, it was a secret, and only my family and very close friends knew that I had ever struggled, even though it was very obvious for people to see because I was at a very low weight for a long time. It's only in being really honest and open and say, look, I know that I have these glamorous pictures in terms of modelling stuff, but actually what goes on behind that is me having panic attacks every morning before any photo shoot, whatever it's for, having to be an exact weight. If I'm 1 pound over or 1 gram over, I'll cancel the shoot on the day, can't go. There's all kinds of factors for it. So it's a very multifaceted issue, and it affects everyone in different ways.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people also don't realise that binge eating, bulimia, anorexia, no matter what the eating disorder is, it's all exactly the same. The addiction, because that's what it is really, is exactly the same for anyone. Unfortunately, because of society, we have a lot more fat shaming than we do skinny shaming. So even if you are really, really suffering with anorexia or bulimia and you happen to be on the low end of a weight, you're still very unlikely to actually face any kind of social repercussions from it.
Yeah, you don't get the same scrutiny.
No,
It's
absolutely
like different
not.
labels.
No, I got the
different ends of
most
the
work
spectrum.
I've ever had in terms of modelling stuff when I was not eating for days and was really, really unwell.
Yeah.
And yes, I would look tired, but they'd say,
Just put
your
makeup on."
body looks great and we'll just retouch it under your eyes. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just so crazy.
Do you think any of the brands that you worked with knew that as well? Knew that you were suffering?
That's such a good question.
I don't know. I think at some stages it was blatantly obvious. I think so.
And they just chose.
sad.
So they
That's
just chose
so-
to disregard it.
Yeah, I think so. And then other ones, I would just put a brave face on all the time. I was never honest about it. And then, like I said, it's only been in the last year that I've said, look, I'm not going to be modelling anymore because it messes with my head too much. I need to recover. That's going to mean gaining some weight for a while, and then my body will kind of find its own happy place.
Yeah.
And I need to just work on self-love and congratulating myself on being a good person. And it doesn't matter what I look like because...
Yeah, like you were saying, it's that thing about body acceptance.
Exactly.
So it's like maybe we need to change the term slightly from body confidence to body acceptance.
Yeah,
And then
'cause I
maybe
think
that
that's
will
what it
move
really
everything
is.
on a little bit further, because if we think about what the word confidence means versus what acceptance means, then that changes the whole meaning, doesn't
Exactly.
it?
Because I think when people say confidence, that's when you have this whole sort of idea of being like, I have to show this off because I'm confident. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no,
I have to
you
run
don't.
out naked
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
street and go,
You
I
have to be
love
an
my
extra.
body.
Exactly.
You can be-
Especially the right boob.
You can be body confident and be, you know,
Shy.
and not show
Yeah,
even your
yeah,
ankles.
exactly.
You can,
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you don't like the way you look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
because
true.
of
Yeah.
our society, we equate body confidence with nakedness for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's
All the
about
nudity.
it's the choice of be naked if you want to be. Don't be naked if you don't want to be.
Exactly.
I thought you raised an interesting point though as well of like, do get help if you need it. Like you made a joke about therapy, but like, you know, if you are really struggling with things to do with your body or whatever it is, you know, get a support network around you and go and seek
Absolutely.
medical help.
And that's the most important thing is the support network for sure. Like through being really honest, I've had so many people message me saying, you know, thank you, you've been really brave. I really appreciate your blog, blah, blah, blah. And that's really important for me as well, because now I feel like I've got something to live up to almost and be like, well, these people are looking up to me to be honest and kind of be an example of recovery, I guess. Obviously, relapse is natural for everybody, but it helps keep me in check. So that whole support system thing is super important.
I suppose this is also the positive side of being an influencer and having that direct influence. Whereas when I was younger, seeing people go on TV talking about eating disorders, you'd see them in little slots on, like, I don't know what it was called. What is it? GMTV? What's it even called now?
Like the morning TV stuff.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, people used to go on there, and you got that 45 seconds in isolation of someone sitting there looking a bit sheepish, saying, "Yeah, I have one, and it was terrible." And then the expert saying, "Yes, and make sure you get help." And then you hear nothing else about it.
Even then, it would only ever be the super extreme cases.
Yeah,
always the super extreme
really extreme.
cases.
Yeah.
It's like someone's 75 pounds.
Yes. Yeah.
Or they're 600 pounds, and it's like that's not what an eating disorder is.
Yeah.
You can be an absolute healthy weight your entire life and still be making yourself sick every day, and you're still incredibly ill. But because you don't look ill, people
They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and there's also that shame of it as well. Because I've definitely had that issue as well, being like, well, I don't look ill because I'm a healthy weight. So am I a fraud? Like, do I still have an eating disorder? It's like, yes, you're still in recovery.
Yeah, of
It's that whole kind of thing of like, well, I guess if you're a recovering drug addict, you'll always be a recovering drug addict.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that the point is it's disordered eating, isn't it? It's disordered behaviour. So then that's what kind of that boils down to. And I think this is it really has its place in the kind of body image and body confidence chat. Because especially with things like hashtag goals. My least favourite thing, unless it's like around a cake or something like that, or something like shoes. Exactly. Here's a wheel of cheese, goals. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, but I think when it's placed on bodies and stuff, it's always a little bit of a dicey one. Even I've said it sometimes, like, why am I even saying that?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of retraining, I think, of everybody individually they've got to do as well.
That's definitely a downside of social media is the comparing.
Yeah.
I think it's a real kind of nasty hole to fall down, but it's really easy to do. Like I catch myself doing it all the time, just pointlessly scrolling and being like, I feel really bad about myself now because my mum doesn't look like that, and I have cellulite on my legs, and none of these girls do. So
they're
But I think
edited.
this is what I'm saying.
Always
I
edited.
think-
Christy's not buying it.
Yeah, and you know,
Everyone
I
takes
think what's so great about being on that side is like you know the amount of work that might go into the perfect
Exactly.
self of us. So I know you were doing that, and maybe you even do more than I was. So I was like, dude, how long did it take you to even edit that picture?
Yeah, what about the celebs? I mean,
it's
they're
like-
literally every day in the gym.
Constant,
I'd be upset if I didn't look like that. They're in the gym 2 hours a day, every single day.
To be fair, if I was paid, like Sandra Bullock says, I look like this because they pay me millions of pounds, like millions of dollars. To be fair, if someone's paying me millions of dollars,
Everybody's at work.
Yeah.
Normal people just go
exactly.
to work. They haven't got time to sit and do their quads and this and that every single day. We haven't.
I mean, if you did that every day, it would be outstanding. Like, it would put to be up here.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. It's just like
be no
they
skinny
look
jeans
like
for
that because they're in the gym. They've got personal trainers and they're there from noon to night.
Yeah.
They have the support and the help for that.
That's it.
If someone paid me millions of dollars,
I would
buy loads of cake.
Okay, so what I suppose our discussion, we've covered so many different areas. We've covered so many different points. I still don't even entirely know what our conclusions are from this because it is this ever-changing, layered, nuanced kind of, topic. So while we're definitely progressing towards a society where all body types are going to be represented, whether it's online, TV or whatever, we've still got a long way to go. And brands, like some brands that really want you to control your shape are always going to, they find these ways to play on your insecurities to kind of sell their products, you know. So influencers, you have to shout a lot louder to kind of get over that din, that marketing din. So what we're going to do is we're going to end with just a quick body positive mantra that you want to share.
Mine is, learn to love your right boob just as much as your left boob.
they love each other, and I love them.
Oh,
Do you,
that's cute.
yeah, exactly. You can't whisper, I love you more.
No, jealous.
I love you both. Okay?
Equally.
You're both awesome.
Yeah. What about you then?
Know your worth and don't let anyone else question it.
Rachel?
Short and sweet, guys. Just love yourself. This is who you are. This is the one body that you have. Just respect it and love that.
There's only one you. Do your thing. If you want a sandwich, eat it. And just stay true to what you believe in and don't worry about anybody else. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been Speak On.
Woo woo.
Yeah.